Untitled Goose Game is... Untitled Goose Game is really... Untitled Goose Game's appeal is that... You know what? Let me sum up why Untitled Goose Game is such a joy to play in this one scene. Before seeing this game in the Nintendo eShop on my Switch, I would have never, ever imagined I'd be playing a game in which a goose was the playable character. But after wreaking havoc all across a peaceful town as the titular goose, I can safely say this is one of the purest experiences I've had in gaming in 2019, and it left me chuckling and smiling at every turn. The game is very short in length though, and so it's hard to review this game without showing off a significant amount of its content. So if you're trying to avoid spoilers and are just looking for a recommendation, let me sum it up by saying developer House has made one of the most unique and charming games you'll ever experience if you choose to pick it up for only $15. And I highly doubt you regret that purchase, especially if you like puzzle games. For those of you sticking with the video, welcome to Duck Duck Goose, my review of Untitled Goose Game. So of course, I have to start this review by talking about the goose, because it's so thoughtfully crafted to act as a real goose, and that's a sentence I never thought I'd be saying in a review. Our bird hero of this game actually acts as a menace to the townsfolk as he hilariously causes misfortune everywhere he goes. The developers have really gone all out to make sure his animations are precise. He waddles everywhere, glides smoothly across water, runs away scared from aggressive humans, he can flare out his wings at threats, and of course, honk at any time. I was pretty skeptical when I saw that a dedicated honk button was one of the main mechanics of the game, but honestly, honking at unsuspecting humans is easily one of the funniest things to do in the game, and I absolutely love it. I found myself instinctually honking at humans if they foiled my plans to pull off a prank, and simultaneously, I couldn't resist scaring the bejesus out of people with well-timed honks. It oozes the utmost charm. And really, the same level of care and detail is applied to other NPCs and the tiny village itself. Humans lack all their natural facial features, but their simple design really allows the goose to be the thing that pops out the most in every level. However, the simple design isn't a concession to detail. Instead, the simplicity of the designs help perpetuate this town as the small and quiet villa that it is. Each NPC is still well animated, whether they're chasing you around or running away scared from you. It leads to a sense of cohesion throughout the world, which is greatly appreciated in a game with no spoken dialogue. And so like I said, for the most part, the animations are great. I mean, there is the occasional time where an aggressive townsfolk backs you into a corner, and the game makes the goose kind of bug out a bit because it's stuck being chased between a wall and the angered person. But that's a pretty rare occurrence, and besides that, no item, location, or NPC feels out of place or breaks the immersion, and it makes disrupting things as the goose all the more satisfying. So at the heart of it, Untitled Goose Game is a puzzle game where mostly intelligent level design is used exclusively to get you experimenting with nearby items to solve written challenge prompts. There's 5 areas in the game, and each has a set of 5 challenges except for the last. After completing 4 of the challenges, a final challenge is given to the player in order to unlock a path to the next area and a shortcut that leads back to earlier areas. It sounds simple, but the challenge comes from the fact that the written prompts are pretty vague. For example, one challenge early in the game is to get the boy to wear a different pair of glasses. That's the only hint you're given, and you're left to study the level and the boy to figure out how to make that happen. Now, I don't want to spoil too many puzzles for you because there's not a ton in the game, but this one is fairly early on, and it brought such a smile to my face that I have to explain it. So again, the objective was to get the boy to wear a different pair of glasses. So basically, I went out and found a pair of other glasses at a local shop and stole them off the rack. I ran back to the boy and noticed that his shoelaces were big, which was unlike anyone else I had seen so far. So on a whim, I went up and I tried to untie his shoes, and it worked. And as he leaned over to tie them, I plucked the glasses right off of his face. Unable to see, I brought him the new glasses, and he put them on. Challenge complete. The slapstick humor of it all left me grinning ear to ear, and the game is chock full of challenges just like this one. The puzzle design is built on the level design's ability to make you curious and inquisitive, and then to poke around to see what kind of bizarre situations you can get yourself into. Now, to start this gameplay section, I mentioned that most of the level design was intelligent, but a few missed the mark. I'd say about 10% of the challenges are a little weak. For example, one task is to set a table by collecting a fork, knife, napkin, plate, etc., and placing them on the table. However, it wasn't immediately obvious to what table the challenge was referring to, and with how easy it is to get caught with an item in your beak, it made me not want to do that challenge. Most of the objectives aren't like this, and can be solved with a bit of brain power. Of course, even after figuring out how to solve a puzzle in your mind, there still comes the part where you have to execute it. NPCs will constantly chase our goose friend out of areas and around the village if he's caught stealing an item, and it adds an extra layer of challenge to completing each task. The final job is all about stealth, and without spoiling it, it's one of the highlights of the game. It really shows you how much mischief the goose has caused throughout his days. Anyway, all the sneaking around you have to do adds a light stealth element to the game that I really appreciated. I mean, you've heard of Solid Snake, but now we have Solid Goose. For me, this game was just about the right length too, although I would have been okay with one more additional area. It took me only about 2 hours to beat the game, but honestly, this is an experience that shouldn't be drawn out for too long, as the novelty would wear off over the course of an 8 to 10 hour campaign. Now, you may hear that 2 hour runtime and think, oh no, I mean, it would take me longer to watch Avengers Infinity War than it would to beat this game. But here's the thing, if you're loving the experience, a New Game Plus mode takes over after your first run through. The map opens up, all the shortcuts are unlocked, and a set of additional challenges is unlocked that require you to move from one area to another in order to complete challenges. For example, you may have to get dressed up with an item in one area and then complete another challenge while wearing that item in a completely different area. The first playthrough gets you familiar with each zone, and the second playthrough tests you on your memory of it and how well you can move between each areas while avoiding detection. And finally, there's a speedrun mode that can be completed if you're into that sort of thing. I'd say, all in all, the game will last about 4 hours for completionists, which I think is fine for the asking price of just $15. In terms of presentation, the game excels. The wooden figure-esque design of the world is a perfect fit, and the sound design is top-notch as well. Honestly, what sells the game in terms of sound effects is the quality of the honking that you can do at random people, man. It's just so good. The game doesn't really have a soundtrack playing at all times. Instead, piano notes accompany the action whenever the goose runs or is in a hectic situation. Including just one instrument furthers the emphasis on the simple but effective design choices. Finally, in terms of performance, the game runs really well, with no major crashes, bugs, or glitches to speak of. You can also get this game on PC, but I played on Nintendo Switch and didn't run into any issues while playing docked or in handheld mode. So, Untitled Goose Game is a great time, and it's one of the few games to actually make me laugh out loud consistently in a long while. If you are a fan of puzzle games, of indie games, or just looking for a game that's gonna be a nice change of pace, check this one out. I mean, it gets you thinking, it gets you chuckling, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. However, if you love the game, there's a few additional modes to check out to extend its runtime. Now, I know this wasn't a very long review, but there really isn't much more to say without giving the whole thing away, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. If you like this video, check out my reviews playlist. I've covered God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Crash Team Racing, amongst a bunch of others. Be sure to also check out the Psychology of Gaming playlist, where I show how different psychological principles are worked into games, and how games can affect us psychologically. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing for more, follow me on Twitter @NopeNapNarp, and as always, have a nice day, and take care.